Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari affirms government's efforts at tackling challenges in businesses. Federal government blames delay in issuance of travel passports on inconsistency in names. Plus, UN chief to discuss end to Ukraine war during Moscow visit on Tuesday. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First, in our news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari is asking entrepreneurs and investors to channel ideas and resources into areas of the economy that stimulate growth with long-term effect on job creation and poverty reduction. The president, who stated this when he received Aliko Dangote and board members of his company at the presidential villa Abuja, said fixing infrastructure remained government's top priority. He said the challenges in transportation and energy would continue to attract attention for a turnaround. President Buhari therefore urged entrepreneurs in the country and foreign investors to focus on areas that would leave lasting legacies of transforming lives. Away from that, the federal government has blamed recent delays in the issuance of travel passports on the integration of the National Identity Number NIN with names on database. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola explained that if the names on passport biodata and NIN did not tally, it would be difficult to prove that such names identified one person. Aregbesola also blamed periodic server failure at the NIMC for delay in confirmation of NIN and consequently the issuance of passports. He said the ministry and the Nigeria Immigration Service were working to ensure that passport applicants were able to track their applications online. Meanwhile, the federal government has dismissed reports of the Nigerian Correctional Service swapping inmates with free citizens. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola refuted the allegations in Abuja. In his opening remarks at the third and fourth quarter of 2021 performance review meeting of the ministry and its agencies, Aregbesola assured the people that no such swapping would be tolerated under his watch, adding that government would further secure the facilities of the Nigeria Correctional Services. In the meantime, the federal government is set to build 150 new shops at the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, as part of the ongoing refurbishing process of the edifice. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to endorse the proposal, which is part of plans to make the complex a befitting sports arena under the new arrangement. Sports Minister Sunday Dare says he is currently working with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission to put the stadium to the expected standard. Away from that, in a bid to ensure increased agricultural productivity and job creation, the federal government has concluded plans to unveil Hello Tractor initiative. In a statement, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Abubakar, said the pay-as-you-go tractor financing scheme will be unveiled on April 28. According to him, the launch scheduled to hold in Abuja is a follow-up to an earlier soft launch which witnessed the presentation of 7 tractors to beneficiaries across 3 locations of Abuja, Nasarawa and Enugu states in the country. In another development, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, is advocating the adoption of a compulsory psychiatric test as a pre-requirement for marriages. She said such tests would curb the spate of gender-based violence, which is becoming prevalent in the society. Tallen said efforts were on to discuss with the Ministry of Interior to work out modalities for marriage before consummation. Elsewhere, Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige says the federal government will consider taking the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU to the Industrial Court if the process to resolve the ongoing strike fails. Speaking in an interview with newsmen, Ngige warned ASU to refrain from intimidating officials in the Ministry of Digital Communications and Economy and the National Information Technology Development Agency over the deployment of the University Transparency Account System proposed by the union. The minister also claimed the union had threatened the Minister of Digital Communications and Economy, STVNg, with the revocation of his professorship. It could be recalled that ASU had earmarked on a one-month warning strike on February 14, 2022, citing its dissatisfaction with the federal government's disappointing response on the matters raised by the union. On judiciary matters, a federal high court in Abuja has ordered former Speaker, House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara to vacate his seat as member representing Das Tafawa Balewa and Bogoro Federal Constituency in Bauchi State. Delivering judgment, Justice Johnathan Okorowo declared that having defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, Dogara was no longer qualified to occupy the seat by virtue of the Constitution. In 2019, Dogara was re-elected on the platform of the PDP to represent Das Tafawa Balewa and Bogoro Federal Constituency of Bauchi State at the National Assembly. He, however, defected to the APC on July 24, 2020, after he submitted a resignation letter to the PDP chairman of Bogoro C Ward in the state. To the legislature now, where the House of Representatives ad hoc committee on the state of refineries in Nigeria has summoned the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Pre-Silva, and the Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Mele Kyari, as well as officials of the management of the nation's refineries to appear before the panel. The committee, which condemned the invitees for allegedly shunning a series of invitations to its investigative hearing, threatened to invoke legislative powers against them at a press briefing in Abuja. Chairman of the committee, Ganiyu Johnson, said non-appearance by the stakeholders had ruined investigative hearing of the committee scheduled for March 31. Away from that, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has threatened to sue President Muhammadu Buhari's administration over the lingering strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. SERAP said the alleged refusal of the federal government to end the strike was a violation of the legal obligation to provide access to higher education for Nigerians. It could be recalled that ASU had embarked on a one-month warning strike on February 14 and extended it by another 2 months over the alleged failure of the government to fulfill its agreements. On electoral matters, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has warned its personnel across the country to remain unbiased and apolitical or risk being punished. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu gave the warning at the second regular quarterly consultative meeting with the resident electoral commissioners at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. His warning comes ahead of the primary elections by various political parties to elect their candidates for the offices of the President, governors, and other positions in the coming general polls. Yakubu told the commissioners that, as required by law, the Commission would monitor the primaries in the constituencies where the parties intend to field candidates. The INEC chief noted that the electoral umpire had released the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general elections a day after the Electoral Act 2022 was signed into law. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it will spend not less than 239.2 billion naira on procuring voting materials and vehicles that will be used in the 2023 general election. This is according to the 2023 General Election Project Plan launched by INEC in Abuja. Reports say 78.44% of INEC's 305 billion naira budget will be spent on 10 critical items, which include ballot papers, operational vehicles, ballot boxes, allowances of ad hoc workers, printing of result sheets, logistics and procurement of accreditation devices, Also included in the budget is the 27.1 billion naira set aside by the Commission for possible runoff elections, including the one for the presidential poll. In the meantime, former President Goodluck Johnathan says he is yet to declare for the 2023 presidency, as the process to that effect is ongoing. He spoke while playing host to a large crowd of supporters, mostly youths and women, on solidarity march to his office in Abuja. Leaders of the placard-carrying supporters took turns to ask the former president to return to office in 2023 and promised to work for his victory at the polls. The former president appreciated the crowd for their support and visit. On security matters, former President Olusegun Obasanjo says amid growing insecurity in the country, the creation of state police would be a better option than community policing. Obasanjo stated this when the leadership of the National Association of Ex-Local Government Chairmen in Nigeria paid him a courtesy visit in Abeokuta. A statement by his special assistant on media, Kehinde Akinyemi, hinted that the visit was led by the pioneer national chairman, Albert Asipa, the Ogun State Chapter Chairman, Shoyemi Koka, among others. Meanwhile, following the frequent attacks on police formations and personnel in the southeast by armed assailants, Inspector General of Police Usman Baba has ordered immediate deployment of additional operational assets to complement officers and men attached to Operation Restore Peace. In a statement, the IGP condemned the spate of attacks on police officers' facilities and other police operational assets around the nation. He warned that attacks on police officers in the line of duty will no longer be tolerated under whatever guise, as the force holds the lives of its personnel sacrosanct. Baba reiterated the commitment of the force to protect lives and property. In the meantime, police authorities have declared 12 persons wanted in connection with the violence in Isu and Nyocha, a community in Awka North local government area of Anambra State. The force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi announced this in a statement at the force headquarters in Abuja. Adejobi stated that the suspects also attacked and brutalized some mobile police officers detailed to restore calm to the community. Still on security, Nigerian Air Force, in partnership with the British Military Advisory Training Team, has trained 150 Advanced Special Forces operatives to be deployed to troubled areas in help in tackling security challenges within the country. The Air Officer Commanding Ground Training Command, Air Vice Marshal Ibikunle Daramola, confirmed this in a welcome address at the graduation ceremony of the Advanced Special Operations Course 1 2022. The event took place at the Regiment Training Center Annex, Special Operations Command of the Nigerian Air Force, Boji. Daramola said 285 personnel had been nominated for the training. In Niger State, the government has refuted claims that it confirmed the killing of 6 children by a fighter jet of the Nigerian Air Force. In a statement in Minna, the secretary to the state government, Ahmed Matani, described the report, suggesting that he gave the confirmation as false. He also faulted the report published by an online newspaper in which he purportedly detailed how the 6 children were killed, stressing that he never granted such an interview to any media outfit. According to Matani, the report is a false and grossly misleading publication, and the public is advised to disregard the fake news. Back here in Akwa Ibom State, immediate past Commissioner for Economic Development Akano Kon has assured the people of his readiness to provide a visionary and purposeful leadership that would engender rapid economic growth, inclusive development and shared prosperity if elected as governor come 2023. Okon gave the assurance during his Thanksgiving and official declaration to run for the office of the governor under the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the next year general elections. A correspondent completes the story.
On Thursday, Akwa Ibomers gathered at the West Itam Secondary School, Itam, to witness the official declaration of Mr. Akanokun to run for the office of the governor in 2023. The moment gave the immediate past commissioner for economic development in the state the opportunity to offer praises and thanksgiving to God for the grace to serve under the past and present administrations.
I have served meritoriously in different ministries under the administration of His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio and His Excellency Governor Udomi Mandel. I understand the workings of government. As part of my desire to continue to offer quality services to our dear state, I intend to harness the accrued technocratic experience to ensure good governance in our state. I am poised to add value and to offer value-added leadership for shared prosperity. And what I mean there is that in Akwa Ibom State, under my leadership, prosperity will not be for the few. Prosperity will be for all.
The paramount ruler of Itu local government area, His Majesty Etidem Edetapan, while commenting on the occasion, thanked the People's Democratic Party for giving all aspirants a level playing field. He advised Akwa Ibomites to choose the right leaders who would mean well for the people.
I want Akwa Ibomites, all the Akwa Ibomites, to look closely, not on sentiment, but let us now choose somebody who can redeem this very state. When you look at Akwa Ibom, economically, we are viable, we have mineral, but we need somebody that will harness these very resources, both natural resources and human resources. Akwa Ibom has been endowed with, so that the state will develop, not mediocrity. We need people who know the job to handle the development of this state for us. So God will give us the best. God will give me an Akwa Ibom, and those that love this Akwa Ibom, the best among them. That's my comment. Thank you.
The event drew top-ranking personalities in the state, as well as stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party in the state. Hansen Uko, Spectrum Television News.
Still in Akwa Ibom, as the world marks World Earth Day today, an academic professor with the University of Uyo, Professor Ekanem, has called for collaborative efforts to save the planet. Speaking on Spectrum Television Rise and Shine show, the professor called for an end to tree cutting, bush burning, and other harmful practices that affect the environment.
Individuals, like we keep saying, don't cut down trees. The only thing keeping us alive and comfortable are trees and ocean, which we call the carbon sinks. They are the ones that are taking away the excess carbon dioxide that we have, cleaning our environment. There are some things like, let me give you an example. In our environment, we have everybody drilling borehole. No regulation, no nothing. Everybody has a, because the agency that supplies water has failed. So everybody goes on his own way. We see people burning things. Anywhere they just burn things. It doesn't happen in any civilized society anymore. Waste management is becoming a major problem. From in household to the community to the state, it's a serious problem. Those are things that.
Meanwhile, as the world marks the International Earth Day, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on corporate organizations and government to focus on sustainable practices. Speaking during the World Earth Day celebration, Guterres urged people and governments to cut emission and speed up deployment of clean renewable energy so as to avert a climate catastrophe. A correspondent has more of this report.
Annually, as a reminder that the Earth and its ecosystem provide us with life and sustenance, so there is a need to protect the environment so as to live a more sustainable life. As poor custodians of our fragile home, the Earth now faces what is known as triple planetary crisis, which is climate disruption, nature and biodiversity loss, pollution, and waste, which has led to a sprout of climate events that have affected millions of people, from extreme heats to wildfires and floods. Since 2009, the United Nations designated April 22nd as International Mother Earth Day. The world has seen a lot of changes and global efforts to tackle these monumental challenges. However, a lot still needs to be done. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged all people and governments to cut emissions, try to achieve carbon neutrality, and speed up deployment of clean, renewable energy.
We must limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees, and we are far off track. To keep 1.5 alive, governments must have cut emissions by 45% by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. Many emitters must drastically cut emissions starting this year, and this means accelerating the end of our fossil fuel addiction and speeding the deployment of clean, renewable energy. At the same time, we must invest rapidly in adaptation and resilience, particularly for the poorest and most vulnerable who have contributed least to the crisis.
We have only one Mother Earth. We need to do everything we can to protect her. Edidion Martin, reporting for Spectrum Television.
Still to come in the news. British pound drops to 17-month low. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In Africa, the authorities in Sudan have released 25 people who were arrested for protesting against October's coup in the capital Khartoum. Some of them were detained during demonstrations while others were picked up from their homes. A statement by the Sudanese emergency lawyers says at least 27 others remain in detention in Khartoum's Soba jail. It said high-profile members of a committee set up by the unity government to dismantle businesses and institutions loyal to Omar al-Bashir, who was ousted as president in 2019, also remained in custody. It added that many others were still being held in 3 other jails outside Khartoum. Still in Africa, Kenya has announced it will host a meeting between rebels in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the government in Kinshasa. The announcement was made after a meeting of leaders from Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo in Nairobi to discuss violence by armed groups in the DR Congo. During the meeting, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta sought to establish a regional force to neutralize armed groups in the region. Meanwhile, Kenya's former President Mwai Kibaki has died at the age of 90. Announcing his death, President Uhuru Kenyatta eulogized the former president, saying he was a patriot for the values for which he lived, his ideals, his dignity, his diligence, candor, and concern for the well-being of all Kenyans. President Kenyatta said, as a leading figure in post-independence
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I would
be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Nigerian police.
So the team in the run. Go up, go up. Thanks for staying tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. On the foreign scene, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has revealed that Ukrainian troops are in the UK being trained on how to use the armored vehicles which Britain is supplying to repel Russian forces. Reports say Britain is providing Ukraine with 120 armored patrol vehicles, including the Mastiff, which can be used as a reconnaissance or patrol vehicle. Johnson's press secretary said dozens of Ukrainian soldiers were currently in the UK for training, adding that Britain and its allies were providing Ukrainian soldiers with new types of equipment that they may not have used before. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Okem.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts, and good evening. Welcome to Business News. My name is Blyden Okem. In the news, we begin with Slovenia's employment rates. In Slovenia, the unemployment rate measures the number of people actively looking for a job as a percentage of the labor force. Slovenia's unemployment rate fell to 6.6% in February of 2022, the lowest level since October of 2008. Down from 9.0% in the same month of 2021. The number of unemployed persons declined by 23,268 persons from a year earlier to 64,783, while the number of employed rose by 26,774 to 912,606 persons. Meanwhile, in January, the jobless rate was at 6.9%. Let's look at the situation with British pounds as its value drops to 17-month low. The pound USD exchange rate specifies how much one currency, the pound, is currently worth in terms of the US dollar. The British pound depreciated more than 1%, below $1.29, the lowest level since November 2020. Pressured by poor economic data, which indicates the slack in household finances and rising prices. British retail sales volume tumbled 1.4% from a month earlier in March, much worse than market expectations of a 0.3% decrease. Meanwhile, as reported, market drivers expect Bank of England to raise rates to 1% during the meeting on May 5th after the inflation rate hit a 30-year high of 7% in March. It's time to observe what's happening in the world of digital coin. The founder of Binance, Changpeng Zhou, has said the cryptocurrency exchange had recovered some funds stolen by North Korean hackers, the Lazarus Group. According to Changpeng Zhou, in a tweet, he said, the DPRK hacking group began moving the Axie Infinity stolen funds today. The group used Binance blockchain system to move part of the funds across over 86 accounts on the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, and $5.8 million has been recovered. Meanwhile, this year, Lazarus Group was accused of stealing $600 million worth of cryptocurrency linked to play-to-earn game Axie Infinity. The U.S. Treasury Department had tied the North Korean hackers to the thefts. And in Nigeria, Lafarge Africa posts 90.6 billion naira in first quarter report. The revenue of Lafarge Africa was up 26.7% in the first quarter of 2022. But despite improved turnover, production costs pressured the company's earnings in the first quarter. According to the company's 2021 first quarter financial statements released on Thursday to the Nigerian Exchange Limited, it generated 90.6 billion naira during the period. As reported, its turnover surpassed the 71.47 billion naira it generated within January to March last year, reflecting 26.7% increase after spending 48.43 billion naira to produce its products, having spent 40.27 billion naira in the first quarter of last year. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market report. The bulls closed the trading week. Today is the last trading day of the week on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and the benchmark all-share index climbs 235.79 basis points, a 0.49% increase to close at 48,459.65 points, representing a one-week gain of 2.31%. A total of 342.13 million shares in 4,976 deals corresponding to a market value of 3.855 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 40% improvement in volume, 22% improvement in turnover, as well as 2% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange rose to 26.1 trillion naira from 26 trillion naira of the previous day. And in aggregate, 111 equities participated in trading, ending with 35 gainers and 18 losers. Owando led the gainers with 9.94% share price appreciation, closing at 5.86 naira per share. And on the losing side, Academy Praise came at last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 1.17 naira per share. Fidelity Bank recorded the highest volume of 47.2 million traded shares. This is all on Business News, and over to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Lyden. In health, the Kogi State government has confirmed 41 new cases of Lassa fever, with 7 deaths from January till date. A statement issued by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Alonge Daniel, in Lokoja, said 9 local government areas had reported at least 1 confirmed case during the period. Alonge noted that the ministry had responded appropriately and timely to the epidemic through the release of funds by Governor Yahaya Bello to curb the outbreak. In sports, Watford have been handed a huge boost ahead of their trip to league leaders Manchester City tomorrow, with the return of Nigerian duo William Troost-Ekong and Samuel Kalu. Troost-Ekong returns to full training with the side after recovering from a slight hamstring strain that kept him out of the home clash against Brentford last Saturday. Reports say the Nigerian international has made 16 Premier League appearances this season, but last featured for the Hornets in their 1-0 loss to Tottenham Hotspur at Vicarage Road on New Year's Day. Still in sports, top contenders are gearing up for the coveted Unicel Boot Award for the 2021-2022 season. This follows resumption of footballing actions in the Nigeria Professional Football League after the mid-season break. The annual event, which was established in 2018, seeks to raise the standard of the Professional Football League in Nigeria through awareness and cash rewards for the highest goal scorer. The winner at the end of every season reportedly receives the prestigious trophy and cash prize of 200,000 naira per goal from Unicel Limited. After match day 21 games, Isha Kayode of the Port Harcourt-based Rivers United FC tops the highest goal scorers log with 11 goals, followed by Chijoke Akuneto, also of Rivers United, with 9 goals. Elsewhere, former Togo and Sudan boss Hubert Vellut has been appointed as the new coach of Burkina Faso on a 2-year deal. The 62-year-old Frenchman led Sudan to qualification for the delayed 2021 Africa Cup of Nations, but was sacked before the tournament, following a poor showing at last year's FIFA Arab Cup. Vellut replaces Kamal Malo, who was relieved of his duties despite guiding Burkina Faso to the semi-finals at the Nations Cup in Cameroon earlier this year. The West Africans lost the third-placed playoff against the hosts, having led 3-0 with 20 minutes remaining. Still in sports, 7-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton says being part of a consortium bidding to take over English Premier League club Chelsea was too great an opportunity to pass by. Speaking ahead of Sunday's Imola Grand Prix, Hamilton said from the age of 5 or 6 he had been a supporter of Chelsea's bitter city rivals, Arsenal. Reports say Hamilton, along with American tennis star Serena Williams, could each invest up to £10 million in the bid. Away from that, Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has confirmed 2 key players that will miss his side's Premier League tie against West Ham United. Chelsea will on Sunday afternoon host West Ham United in a Premier League tie at Stamford Bridge. Tuchel's men head to the game after losing 4-2 to Arsenal in their last Premier League encounter a few days ago. The Blues are currently in the 3rd position on the Premier League table behind Liverpool and Manchester City. Speaking at his pre-match press conference, Tuchel said the likes of Mateo Kovacic and Antonio Rudiger would not feature against West Ham due to injury. In another development, Manchester United defender Eric Bailly has sent out a subtle plea to Ralph Rangnick to start ahead of captain Harry Maguire in Saturday's clash against Arsenal. The 28-year-old took to social media to make a case for himself to feature in Saturday's cracker. Reports say Bailly has fallen down the pecking order, with Rangnick preferring the likes of Lindelof, Raphael Varane and regular Maguire to hold the club's defensive line. And on that entertainment news, here is Vito Bryan.
Good evening and thanks for joining me on Entertainment News this evening. I am Beto Bryan. First off in our bulletin this evening, Banky W reveals he was disappointed with Wizkid for not showing up at his wedding. Nigerian music star Bankole Wellington, popularly known as Banky W, has revealed how he felt about Wizkid's absence at his wedding to his wife Adesua Itomi. It had been one of the most talked about wedding ceremonies in the entertainment space back in 2017. In a recent chat with Ebuka Obi Uchendu, who also went viral during Banky's traditional wedding because of his choice of outfit wearing the agbada, the Black Boss interview series where the singer turned politician revealed how disappointed he was with former EME signee Wizkid for not showing up at his wedding. Banky said, and I quote, "I was disappointed that he wasn't at the wedding. I was, but I now know he tried because there was a show with a lot of artists. I think he was one in Africa." He also did add that Tiwa Savage ended up using an economy ticket despite having been on business class so she could make it to the wedding. But he called at many times to say he was sorry, Banky saying that Wizkid had apologized. He also spoke about Wizkid's contract with EME and how he made his exit from the record label easy and devoid of drama on social media. He also did recount that Wizkid left the label without fulfilling part of his contract. He said Wizkid was supposed to perform 5 albums still, but only did 2 solo albums before opting out to leave. And he still owes the record label 3 more albums, but he wanted to go. And for Banky W, he did note that it was more convenient for him to let someone go who didn't want to stay in a space that he originally did not intend to stay in. Wizkid signed a record deal with Banky's Empire Mate Empire, EME, in 2009 and released 2 albums, Starboy and Ayo, under the record label, before he left in 2014. Away from that, and next story making our bulletin this evening, ASAP Rocky released from police custody after making $550,000 bail. ASAP Rocky made a set bail of $550,000 after being detained at the LAX airport on April 20 in connection to a November 2021 shooting. The rapper was released from custody of Los Angeles police on April 20 after he made his bail. This was obtained from reports filed in by E! He was photographed leaving the facility in downtown Los Angeles and getting into a black SUV, as seen in many photos obtained by TMZ. According to the booking sheet, ASAP Rocky, born under the real name Rakeem Myers, has his next court date scheduled for August 17. It will be recalled that on April 20, he was arrested at the airport after exiting his private jet on returning from Barbados, where he went for a trip with his now pregnant girlfriend, Rihanna, as the pair expect their first child. According to more reports, it was said that he was detained for a shooting that occurred in California back in 2021 of November, when he was arrested by Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, with the help of Immigration Custom Enforcement and Homeland Security Investigations team. Looking back at ASP Rocky's legal history after his LAX airport arrest, it is also reported that he had been a victim of shooting, as he had probably been engaged with some men who shot at the victim 3 or 4 times using a handgun, and adding that the victim believed one of the bullets grazed his left hand, as per police reports obtained. A spokesperson of the LA District's Attorney Office also told news sources that the case had been presented and is under review, with the reports also saying they had reached out to his lawyer for a comment, but have not been able to get any feedback from him. Prior to this detainment, ASAP Rocky was arrested in July 2019 for gross assault in Sweden. The rapper spent almost 3 weeks behind bars before he was charged with assault by Swedish prosecutors. ASAP pleaded not guilty to the charges at the time. ASAP Rocky claimed his client was engaging in self-defense in a street fight that occurred in June of 2019. After spending a month behind bars, ASAP was released from custody before his judgment took place on August 14, 2019, where ASAP was found guilty but offered a conditional sentence. Therefore, he did not spend any more time incarcerated, was required to pay damages to the victims and repay the state for his expenses through the legal battle. Finally, from the entertainment desk this evening, controversial journalist Kemi Oluloyo has called out Nigerian singer Two-Face and his wife Annie Dibia over their choice of daughter's outfits. The 57-year-old activist took to the popular microblogging platform Twitter, where she noted the importance of sex education. The outfit was obtained over a premiere of the Netflix series African Young and Famous, where Kemi noted that Two-Face's daughter was just 13, but she was allowed to wear a red gown which was not age appropriate, with her cleavage flashing before the eyes of teen boys and men. She tagged out official Tubaba and Annie and called on the celebrity couple on the need to educate their children about sex and sexualizing children as a thing that is to be kicked against when younger girls dress inappropriately in society today. And that's our package this evening from the entertainment desk. I am Beto Brian, thanking you for watching. Do have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you, Beto. Well, that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website SpectrumTv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name